full strength and full steam ahead. The Minnesota Wild get back into a more normal schedule of games, and the outlook is good for a return of the roster regulars too. Plus, everyone's favorite Minnesota nice guy, Nate Prosser, talks retirement, babies, and Jessi and Alexis don't let the goalie feud die ever. It's our bit, okay? So just hang with us. As always, we're created by New Voice Studios, presented by SotaStick, brought to you by Jim Beam and BettorEdge. This is season 3, episode 109.
SotaStick is constantly releasing the best homage gear to Minnesota. Pay your respects to ODR with an association tee or hoodie, or snag any variety of palm beanies for the below zero temps. There's even a Bardown Beauties one for you to grab. Code Bardown Beauties always gets you 15% off all purchases at SotaStick.com.
At Jim Beam, they know the importance of tradition, like chanting "Let's play hockey" prior to the start of each game, or playing the state of hockey anthem after a Wild win. This season, raise one to your fan family with the bourbon that invites us all to come as friends and leave as family. Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey partner of the Minnesota Wild and XL Energy Center. Remember, drink smart. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, copyright 2021, James B. Beam Distilling Company, Incorporate, Claremont, Kentucky.
From New Voice Studios.
Oh yeah, you betcha. Let's go to the boat.
Discombobulate on the spot.
Part of the Talk North Podcast Network.
Fly out to Russia personally.
Jesse Pierce.
This is off the rails. We're only a couple minutes in.
Alexis Pearson.
We're not going to throw batteries on the ice at, Kirill Kaprizov. We're not that crazy.
Bardown Beauties Podcast.
Was it about guys getting hammered down low night after night?
Everyone loves to crap on analytics, but the analytics do not lie here.
We are firing Fred at the top of the hour.
More hit. It's like T.
Starts now.
Hello, everybody. We're back. You know what still haunts my nightmares is when Fred did the hello.
And everybody who listened to that episode.
Had a moment, and I'm uncomfortable immediately. But welcome to the episode. Please stick around. We have better things to talk about. I'm Jessi Pierce. She's Alexis Pearson. He's producer Fred. Joining us later on in the episode, Nate Prosser, who is impossibly nice off the ice and kind of a dick on the ice. But that's what's great about him, right? He's a two type of person. They're a second personality, if you will, in the best way possible. Yeah. So great conversation with him. Stick around, Alexis. Let's talk about the February schedule being released, because if you didn't know, as we record on a Friday, the Wild have a game for the first time in almost a week again. They got the Chicago Blackhawks, but then they also saw that the February schedule will be plump full of games that have been postponed, something like 40 games in 70 days. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, for those of us who like watching hockey and make money covering hockey, this is great. For everybody who has to play that many games in that amount of days, might get a little testy as the end of the season rolls around. I mean, the good news for the Wild is that they've set themselves up in a way that they had enough success early on that there's a little bit of room for error the rest of the season, right? I think so many years the Wild are battling so hard for that playoff spot come the end of the season that there's a little room for error. It's like you've got 15 games left and you have to win 12 of them. I mean, that's what it's been like for years. Obviously, the Wild have slipped a little bit in the standings because they went on that skid there once they had some injuries and all of that stuff, and the schedule got kind of wonky, but they're still sitting pretty good, and there's a little bit of room for error, and it's going to be a tough schedule here, especially, I mean, March is even a scarier schedule than February is. If you think February is scary, look at March's schedule. And so we're still a little over halfway for the remainder of the season that we have left. So I'm excited because it'll be a good test. I'm nervous because I don't know how much it's going to wear them down come playoff time. So that's a concern I have. And they do have one of the tougher schedules in the NHL with the added dates here. They're in kind of that top category of like most amount of games played in a short amount of time. So it's going to be a test, but we'll see what they're capable of here at the remaining of the season.
I mean, you look at it, that's what you do in the playoffs though, too. It's unless you're looking at a sweep from out the gate, it's game after game after game. Guys are going to be bruised. Guys are going to get bumped. They're going to be hurt. I think what's promising with that amount of games because I'm sure injuries are going to pop up naturally. But you look at what the Wild have done without some of their key players in the lineup. Now, yes, these breaks have allowed some of those guys to get back quicker, but at the same time, you've played games without Kirill Kaprizov and won. You've played games without Joel Eriksson and won, without Spurgeon, without Broads, without Talbot. I mean, you've been able to do it. And it's, again, goes to the depth of this team. So even if things are to happen in this big, important stretch, I mean, it's not bad. I know Pierre LeBrun looked at it today. And if the playoffs were to start today, Minnesota Wild, second in the Central, not bad looking at the St. Louis Blues, however, as their opponent. So hopefully you hope Minnesota will eat up some of those points. They've got quite a few games in hand from the rest of the squad. I want to talk about how perfect this kind of did align, Alexis. Do you think the NHL was really going to go to the Olympics? Let's just ask it. Were they going to do it?
It seemed like a bit of a stretch. I'll put it that way. I think there was a lot of hope that it would happen, but it was one of those things that in the back of everybody's mind, they're kind of like, there's no way this is going to happen, right? Like, there's no way. And then I brought up the idea of let's just use that time to reschedule games. And then Gary Bettman stole my idea. And then that's what we're going to do. So was it maybe an ulterior motive of like, okay, we're gonna portion out 2 weeks for the Olympics, but actually we're really gonna use it for rescheduling games? I don't know, we might not ever get them to admit that, but I think it's definitely something to consider. Jessi, that's a very good point.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good
Nancy
point.
Drew over there.
I know. I think they had to have, right? If they told the players they're gonna do, but at the same time, this worked out real convenient. Like, it just worked out really, really convenient. I mean, bummer for the players who have to cancel trips to Cabo. I feel really bad for you. Yeah. Having to stay here.
World's tiniest violin. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it'll be interesting. If you haven't checked out the Olympic squad, US released it. Go back and listen to our episode with Chris Peters, who nailed all those predictions. Funny how that worked. Like, he already knew the team before it was announced.
Shocking.
Shocking. So definitely go check that out. Olympics will be good. Kind of final bit of Minnesota Wild / NHL news that I have, because it's been pretty quiet as of late, which is
we've
good.
had one game since we last recorded an episode. I mean, there's not much updates to talk about.
No, and we got too much good stuff with Nate Prosser, so we'll just why hold you off from there. No, but the new proposal with the NHLPA about testing and COVID protocols is looking to change. That has to be approved by the end of January here to move forward. But basically it says asymptomatic players would no longer need to be tested, that type of stuff, which I think, what are your thoughts, Alexis? I mean, I know it's kind of a hot button topic. The NFL had adopted this themselves and looked at asymptomatic players, but it might not be such a bad thing in order to keep the season moving forward.
Yeah, I don't want to go all like I have a PhD on everybody, but I do think that this is probably
no one would believe that.
Yeah.
No one thought that.
Okay, good. So we're all on the same page. I do think this is the right move for a couple reasons. One, on the science level of it, these players at this point in the pandemic are not getting sick from it to the extent that they were. I mean, a lot of these players went through this a year ago and they were sick, right? They didn't feel well. They were going through the symptoms of it. They were not, capable of playing a hockey game for sure. But this time around, over 95% of the NHL is vaccinated, I think, and maybe even higher now. And so they've got a high vaccination rate. And I think that a lot of the players who are getting it now aren't getting symptoms. So they're testing positive, but they feel fine and they don't even know they have it until they test. And at some point you just have to make a decision, like, what is the best move? And I do think that this is a good move in the right direction. And secondly, and this is, in the grand scheme of things, obviously health is more important than money, but this is going to save you a lot of money too, to not have to do so many tests all the time. I mean, I don't know the number of how much money they've put into testing over the last 2 years for staff and players and everybody. But you're going to save a good chunk of money if you're not testing, as many people as often as they have been. So I think it's a good move. And as long as the players are comfortable with it too, I think that's an important thing to consider. Like, they're the ones who have to play the game. So if they're not comfortable, I wouldn't suggest it, but I think it's a good thing. And I'm excited to take some steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, again, the players and the league have to fully agree on it, but I think they will. I know in constant conversations with some of those players, Marcus Foligno comes to mind. He said, we're doing everything we can to not test positive, and we're still testing positive when we feel fine, and we would go out there and play the game. I mean, you guys know hockey players are going to play without a leg if they have to most of the time, right? Not condoning that. Like, if you're hurt, probably don't play. You don't have
Yeah.
a leg, probably don't play.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, yeah, it's frustrating to them to have all these postponements, and they just kind of want to get going. And the league obviously wants to get going because as a reminder, they want to keep next year's season on schedule and go back to the regular schedule that they had. So, you know, it's the world keeps changing, things keep changing. I got my booster yesterday and I was in immense pain. So, you know, to take that for what it's worth. It was not fun. It hurt really bad, guys. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. You know, speaking of immense pain, Alexis, I felt some immense pain on Tuesday when you beat me and beat the Butte with BettorEdge.
Yeah, and who won yesterday? Who won yesterday? Alexis. That's a sweep and beat the Butte, baby. That's a sweep. That's a sweep. It came down to the last game, but I won. I
looked at my clock and it was 6:08, and I was like, damn it, I missed signing up for this week because I was coming hard. I was coming strong.
Yep.
It is, you know,
I saw you didn't join and I was like, maybe I scared her away after beating her on Tuesday. So
this is why we can't allow you to win. Look at this cockiness.
Let me have this. This is the first time I think since we've started this that I've won both days. So this is exciting news for me, but carry on with your ad read. Sorry for interrupting.
That's it. That's all. We're going to probably cancel Beat the Butte on Tuesdays. I'm not doing it anymore. I quit. Just kidding. Cause BettorEdge is awesome. We love them. Don't forget to use code Buttes, BEAUTS, to get a free $10 when you sign up. You don't have to play Beat the Butte. You should, because it's fun. Look at this competition. Look at this rivalry. Look at this chirping. It's pretty epic. But you know, they've got other things to bet on too. So go do that. Speaking of chirping, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the chirp master himself, Nate Prosser. Stay tuned.
It's hockey season, baby, and the best way to head into a new season is to be fully equipped with all the merch you need to cheer on your favorite teams. Oh, and some Bardown Beauties merch too, right? Right. We've got you covered. Literally, head over to teespring.com where you can find all kinds of custom designed Bardown Beauties apparel, plus so much more.
We're back. Joining us now, the impossibly nice Minnesota Magic Man, retired NHL player, and most importantly, girl dad, Mr. Nate Prosser. Nate, what's going on, bud? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing, Jessi?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've been making your rounds of the podcast since announcing your retirement, but this is going to be the best one that you've been on, just so you know. I'm just putting it out there, dubbing it. You can tell us that later.
I'm in full agreement. I think you're right. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you know, let's start there. I mean, you've kind of been a journeyman through your NHL career, and I know you and I kind of chatted before we hit record here, but tell everybody kind of what went into the decision of retiring, because it's not an easy decision, especially when hockey's kind of been all you've known for the majority of your life.
Yeah, it has. You know, I'm 35. I think I started when I was 2. So I've been playing hockey for 33 years of my life. It's like all I've ever known or done. And every fall comes around and you know, you're packing, you're loading your car, you're getting ready to, you know, amp up the season. You're going to drive somewhere, but this year was different. It was a more of a family decision. You know, my body still feels great. I feel like I could have, you know, given another year or two if a contract would have came, but it was more, you know, my kids are starting to get older. I think I was telling you, it's easy to move your kids when they're young, 3, 4, 5. Every kid's a new kid in school, and now that they're, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're planting their roots. They're, you know, getting into schools and sports and other church events and stuff around the city, and just building their friendships. And it just would have been kind of crushing to my older couple if I would have had to move them again. So that was kind of what went into the decision.
So what happens now? Are you going to, you know, have a foray into broadcasting like many athletes do? Are you going to retire in Cabo? Are you just going to stay home, pull your thumbs? What's the next move for Nate Prosser post-retirement?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I'm kind of all ears right now. I would like to stay involved in hockey, one way or another. The last couple of years of my career, I went down to Iowa, and then I went to Lehigh Valley, and I was in the minors, the American Hockey League, and I was the captain, kind of leader, role model, mentor, someone that guys looked up to, and I love kind of being in that position and helping guys out off the ice. It just seems like so many of these kids nowadays have what it takes on the ice. They're skilled, they're fast, they're got a good shot, they're good on their edges, they're, you know, everything that it takes to get to the NHL, but off the ice, you know, they just kind of struggle and need help and need guidance. And I love being in that spot. So something along those lines of, you know, maybe player development or something would be awesome. I would love to, find one of those roles. But as of right now, this last season, from January to June, I was out in Philadelphia by myself, and my wife Brittany was here with my 4 daughters, 9, 7, 5, 2, and it just got hard on both of us. Obviously, I mean, she would call me, a couple nights a week, pulling her hair out and saying a lot of 4-letter words. And so all I want to do when I got back home in June, I just want to take everything off her plate. She's like, Nate, all I want to do is go sip a Starbucks and walk Target by myself. I'm like, all right, good. It is. So I'm like, all right, go do that. Like, let me be the Uber driver for a few months, and that's all I've been doing is just drop offs, pickups. They're begging for me to be their coach and everything that they do. So I'm coaching their hockey. I've been helping with soccer, helping with basketball a little bit. I don't know anything about it, but just all that kind of stuff. I mean, kids need your time, and I've noticed, like, over the past 11 years playing pro hockey, I haven't been able to give them a lot of my time. Just, you're kind of so dedicated to, your profession and, being an athlete, that, they needed my time. So it's nice to give it to them now.
I bet they're super jacked on having dad home more often now too, right?
They are. And you can see in their personalities that, they're so much less, emotional, and they I told my daughter last fall, she could kind of tell, like, every fall comes around, it's like, okay, we're changing cities, where we might, go to a new school, we might have to go meet new friends. Like, she was getting more emotional than she normally does. And I'm like, hey, Emery, do you know Daddy's not going anywhere now? I'm home. I'm going to be around forever now. And she like came and cried and gave me a hug. I'm like, holy crap. All right. Like at that moment, I'm like, this is the right thing. I gotta, hang them up. And so it just kind of gave me clarity, because, kids they're resilient, but at the same time, they love routine. They love, some structure. They love, planting their roots, just as much as anybody. So I don't know. It just made me realize, like, we need to, kind of settle in here in Minnesota, and, get the kids into their friendships.
You guys will have your honeymoon phase, and then both of you will be like, all right, Dad, go get out of here. You'll be like, I need a break, Britt. Speaking of your wife, she put together that awesome retirement video for you. What did you think of that? A lot of chirping towards you, Nate. I mean, not that I should be surprised, but quite a few chirps from the boys.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always been the butt end of a lot of chirps throughout my career, and I'm fine with that. I just kind of take it in stride and giggle with them. But no, she did great on that. I think I've watched it 4 or 5 times, and it's teared me up every time. It's just pretty cool to see all the support and the love that all the guys gave, and I got so many more text messages, and just old teammates, old trainers, old radio guys. I mean, just you meet so many good people and teammates along the way, and I was so blessed to be able to just make an influence on so many people. That's all I want to do for a lot of years, is be a positive guy to my teammates, and hopefully it rubbed off on them.
Do those videos ever feel a little bit like you've died, right? Like your funeral video, like, oh, we loved you fondly, Nate. Like, I always kind of joke, like, he's alive. I mean, he's still around. You get to hear those nice things said about you anyway while you're still alive, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not dead. I'm still around. And it's just it's for hockey guys, it's hard to retire. It's hard to hang them up, and I can tell, like, I'm gonna miss the locker room times. I'm gonna miss the road trips. I'm gonna miss the card games. It's not even like there's not specific games that I'm like, oh crap, I remember that or this. It's more like the relationships that I built, and the guys, and giggling in the locker room, then dorking around in practices, and just there's so much more about the game than just the game. There's the NHL is everything that I could have dreamed of, and that's why I wanted to do everything I could to stay in that league.
Well, and we talk about chirping in regards to your retirement video, but you were very good at it when you were in the NHL as well. This is actually a question courtesy of producer Fred. He wanted to know, is there any chirp that you like to go to? Did you have like a go-to chirp or any moment that you can remember that you really pissed somebody off? And just for the record, you can swear on this podcast,
Yes.
let it all loose. Anything you want to share for all yours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in a lot of my interviews and everything, I don't swear much, but on the ice that changes. Like and that's what I tell people, I pride myself on my faith, and so like once I'm off the ice, I flip the switch off, and I turn into a dad, and try not to swear off the ice, although sometimes the kids will do something dumb where you throw out something. But no, on the ice, my dad always told me you got to be able to flip the switch and turn into a mean SOB. And it just helped me, because for so many years I was on the third set when I got into games, playing behind Ryan Suter and Jared Spurgeon, Jonas Brody and Matt Dumba, like guys like that. So I knew I wasn't going to play a lot of minutes. Well, in order for me to stay engaged and feel mentally and physically into a game, I needed to get into it with the opponent. I couldn't just like play a vanilla game. I needed okay, I'm gonna get in Jonathan Toews' ear hole and try pissing him off a little bit, and I hope no players took it personal, and I don't think many hockey players do, because I would shake their hand and give them a hug after the game if I could. I tried never to cross the line either. It was more, I don't know.
The classic chirps, right? Like the classic poking fun on something that you could. Yeah.
What do you think about like the recent chirp from this week where Vinny Trocheck called Brad Marchand a rat and he called him a Prius? I mean, was that kind of like a chirp? Was that more your, you're not swearing and cussing everybody out, but you're like, hey, I'm a lot cooler than you, that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's more of that stuff. And calling someone, soft or something, or, I tried getting after Doughty a little bit whenever I played.
Well, it's not that hard to do, right? It's easy to his skin.
Yeah. He always says, he was like, at this level, if you're down here, you can't chirp me unless you get up to here. So I'm like, all right, F you. Like, I'm coming after you. So me and him always gotten in some chirping matches. And but that's all in fun. Like he even saw me like towards the end of my career in the hallway at the Staples Center, and he gave me the biggest laugh and smile. He's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. It stays on the ice is what I say. So that was for the most part in good fun. I mean, obviously, it like I said, it got me more physically into it, and it kept me into the game. If I'm going to play 12 minutes, well, I need to find a way to not just stare off into the crowd and be an idiot. Like I needed to
picking grass or whatever. The kids do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you have a name for like a second persona? Because you're so dramatically different off of the ice, right? Like if somebody meeting you now is like, oh yeah, Nate Prosser, he's kind of a dick on the ice. And it's like, no, he's not. He's the nicest guy. But you are. I mean, was there did you villainize yourself? Like, did you have a second personality that you had to tap into on the ice?
No, it's funny, like how many people, like when you're in hockey, like all your only friends are kind of in hockey. You get to know all the families and teammates, obviously. But now that I'm like out of it, I've gotten to know like neighbors and church people and
normal people,
school people. Normal people, and they're all like I used to watch you and like, what was wrong with you on the ice? Like you're like completely different, like just the way you're talking now. And I'm just like, I know. So nobody like could grasp it, and I don't know. It's just kind of like that's just how I was raised. I grew up in Elk River. I was bring your lunch pail to work kind of guys, and blue collar, and playing for Tony Sarsland, and it's chip the puck off the glass, and get your elbow up if a guy comes late at you, and it's chirping, it's hooking, it's slashing, it's kind of that older game, and that's the game that I love, and that's why I loved hockey so much, was the competition of it, and getting under players' skin, and getting under the opponent's skin, and
I mean, it's that work ethic that kept you in the league for so long. I mean, there was ups and downs, but really when you look back on it, are you kind of like, Holy crap. I was in the NHL for that long. I mean, you have quite
Yeah.
the career, really. I mean, is that pretty amazing?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I was kind of the underdog, you know. I was a late bloomer. You know, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't go through puberty till, you know, later than a lot of kids. Like, we'd go on road trips growing up. My dad would tell me just to be safe out there. I'm like, oh, thanks for the advice, Dad. It's like we're going up to Brandon, Manitoba, and we're playing, you know, 14-year-olds that already have, you know, that already shaving their face, and you know, I don't have armpit hair or anything yet. So, you know, it's more like fearing for my life, but you know, once I finally went through that and became a man, went through, you know, juniors and then 4 years at Colorado College, you know, I kind of grew into my body and developed and just kept getting better through, you know, years from 19 to 24. And then that's when I kind of hit my stride. And but still, I didn't know, you know, that I could make a career. I just found so many players go from college where they're playing 30 minutes a night and playing power play and, you know, part of every situation to get into pro hockey. And the coach is like, well, you know, we don't see you as that. We see you as a third set guy that's going to play 12 minutes and going to be a penalty killer. Well, that's a culture shock for a lot of guys. For me, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to find my role. I'm going to find my niche. And if it's being a PKer, well, I'm going to eat a bunch of shots, block a bunch of shots, and I'm gonna play those 12 minutes as hard as I can play them, and that's how I'm gonna get noticed. And so that's what kind of was my mindset, and how I was able to stick around as long as I did. Is, you know, I just embraced the role, and you know, I learned from a lot of guys my first year in the minors. They told me, you know, you know, everyone kind of gets a shot, you know, gets a cup of coffee in the NHL. It's who can stay there and who can stay there as long as they can, and that's the goal.
Well, and you talked about growing up in Elk River, and obviously hockey is a big part of our culture here in Minnesota. We're recording this on a Friday as we normally do. Hockey Day Minnesota is tomorrow in Mankato this year. This episode will come out on Monday. But Hockey Day has been a big part of the culture here in Minnesota for a long time. You've been involved in it in different ways. And how special is something like that for us Minnesotans to get to celebrate the sport that we love and a sport that we're pretty darn good at too?
I think it's awesome. I love Hockey Day in Minnesota, and I think I have 2 goals and an assist. So
I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead. To your horn.
Yeah, well, yeah. Guys are like, why don't you treat every game like it's Hockey Day in Minnesota? You'd be like a 40-point scorer and making millions. I'm like, I know, I wish I could, but no, I love the day. I love waking up in the morning and turning it on, and you know, seeing you know, games all day, and it's all local, and just seeing what like the specific city did for you know, it's setting it up. I loved Elk Rivers. I loved that it was down in the pit there, and I thought that was amazing, and they did it right. And I mean, it seems to get better and better every year. I mean, every year it seems like, you know, it's a cooler setting out on a lake or whatever it is. And I'm not sure where it is in Mankato, but I'm sure it'll look beautiful. And I think it's a great day, and you know, it's embraced by all, because I have, you know, I'm on a bunch of, you know, buddy text chains, and everyone's kind of watching that day, and it's kind of the state's day.
And the magic is real, right? You are proof of that scoring when it was in Elk River. Like, I don't think anybody in this state will ever let you forget that. I mean, happy to hang your hat on that legend status, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's probably my top moment of my career. I was gonna say my life, but then my wife probably would have smoked me or something.
Your hockey life, you could separate it. Your hockey life. Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I just got my D coach, Rick Wilson at the time, says, "Hey, Pross, you're up." I look back at him like, "You're messing with me, aren't you?" And no, he's like, "No, get out there." I'm like, "All right." And then I get out there, and I don't know, just I heard, you know, after I scored, that, you know, I was on such a leash in Minnesota. They didn't like me, you know, joining the offense too much or getting down by the goal line too much. So when I was like, you know, jumping into the play for that goal, yeah. I guess Rick Wilson was like screaming, no, Pross, no, Pross.
What are you doing?
Yeah, get back here. He's like pulling on the leash. So no, just, you know, it was puck popped out, and I was fortunate to score there. And Yeah, I mean that was a storybook for me, and I think I'll be telling grandkids about that someday. And it just like I think that was my only overtime shift in all of my career. So
You made the
one
most
for
of it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One for one. Yeah, you count.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You count them where they count, right? So that's always
Yeah,
good.
yeah, exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about your time before we dive into Minnesota Wild, obviously, which I'm sure was a dream, but out in Philadelphia and reuniting kind of with Chuck Fletcher and that opportunity that it gave you. And what was that like, just being out there for recent? I mean, you had said hard because you didn't have family with you on the truck out that way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Chuck Fletcher and Mike Yeo were kind of my angels in hockey. They always knew the player I was and the person I was, so they wanted me around all the time. So it always seems like when I needed a contract, there's always kind of Chuck that kind of came through for me. And going to I signed with St. Louis twice, and both times he claimed me back. It was this last. Once I got done in Iowa, I figured it was kind of no brainer. I saw Chuck was out in Philly. I knew Brent Flair was out there. Mike Yeo is the D coach. So there's a lot of connections out there. And hockey's such a small world where you need those connections. It's especially for me. I was undrafted. I was kind of swimming upstream for a lot of my years. You look down a lot of NHL rosters right now. It's a lot of obviously first rounder, second rounders, a lot of draft picks. So just being undrafted was kind of a grind. So I stuck with guys that knew me and knew what I was going to bring to the table each and every night and each day in practice. And those guys did. So it was kind of a no brainer to get out there with those guys. And I'm glad I did. It's just with the shortened season, it was a COVID year. Me and my wife just kind of agreed that let's put our nose to the grindstone for 5-6 months here and get through it. And we were able to, and and I was able to play in some games with the Flyers and scored a goal in my first game out there. And so there's a lot of good times. And like I said earlier, is like the relationships I built even out there was tremendous. Kevin Hayes is one of my good buddies now, and it's awesome.
Well, let's shift gears here to the Minnesota Wild, the current Minnesota Wild, the Nate Prosser-less Minnesota Wild. Obviously, when you were a part of the Minnesota Wild, historically, they've been a much more defensive team, and that's kind of been their MO is, good defense, stout defense. You've been a part of that in your career with them. The last couple of years, they've shifted to a little bit more of an offensive team. They've got some more goal scorers, obviously Kirill Kaprizov. You've got Kevin Fiala, some guys who can put the puck in the back of the net. What is kind of your analysis of this team at this point in time, seeing them kind of shift gears to a different style of hockey than what you were used to when you were here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the way hockey is going, especially the NHL. I've been, on some of these other podcasts I've done, I've been talking that when I first got in, there was at least one line, maybe two lines on every team. We call them the meat line. Just guys that, basically there wasn't a puck on the ice. They started taking your head off your shoulders. So like we would go into Calgary, and I mean, those games were 1-0, 2-1. And, you're playing against Bolig and McGrath and guys that, look like UFC fighters. I'm like, holy crap. And like, before faceoffs, they're saying they want to put me in, into the stands. I'm like, holy crap. So, the game's changing, and, the Wild have done a great job kind of going with it. I mean, the names you mentioned, Kaprizov and Zuccarello and Fiala. I mean, there's a lot of skill, and I mean, you look at their edge work; they're all great skaters, and that's just kind of the way the game is going. I think the Wild have a good team. They obviously need to get healthy, and get guys out of COVID and get Spurge back, and but who knows? I mean, they could have a team to make a run. I mean, they have a goalie in Talbot.
Do they?
I think
no,
Alexis
and I have had a constant goalie
ongoing debate about this. About the goaltending and how solid or not solid we think it is. So you like the goaltending for the Wild this year? I mean, how do you like the?
You can be honest. Don't hold back.
Yeah. No. I mean, they're solid. Can they win a Stanley Cup? I mean, I don't know. I guess they haven't played in those. Has Cam Talbot played in those pressure kind of situations?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not Hakkinen.
No. Yeah, no. And I play with him down in Iowa. I mean, he's a good goalie, but I mean, has he been thrown in a game 5 or 6 that's a must win before? No, probably not. So, but everyone's got to start somewhere, and we'll see what those guys can bring. Come playoff time. The Wild have still a lot of games before then. I think they're only at the halfway point, so a lot of season left, and but it's been promising so far.
I got to ask then too about a former Wild teammate of yours, Joel Eriksson. He seems to be able to get under the skin of opposing players, much like you do. Do you have any idea what he says? Is it just a look that he gives? What's going on with Joel Eriksson that really just pisses the opposing team off from your perspective?
Yeah. I mean, his English is pretty choppy, so he's not. There's not much chirping going on with him. And if it is, it's nothing crazy. But no, I think he just plays so hard. I remember there was a couple practices that I had where we got into it. We a ton of one-on-one drills, and that guy is strong as an ox. And he goes to the hard areas, and he's not afraid to. He's not afraid to spray the goalie, and I mean that pisses
just the little
off.
things,
so
right?
It's all the little things, and he just plays such a hard game, and he's strong and big, and so a lot of guys want to give him a little cross check to the low back, and let him feel it because of the way he plays. And I give him total credit because I love watching that style.
I love it. Final questions before we go. A little trivia for you, Mr. Prosser. Just to recap on your career, total amount of NHL penalty minutes that you had in your career. Any idea?
280.
231. That's pretty close, though. You were up in the twos.
Shoot, right. I was hoping I was higher than that.
So you'll try. Number of points that you had total.
Right around 50.
49. So you one more. You needed one more goal. They needed to let you off the leash and get that one
more hockey day goal would have done it.
Exactly, right? Alexis. I would have scored tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. What was your most successful NHL year? With how many points did you have? I'll take the year or the points.
12.
Yeah, and it was ironically in 2011, 2012 with the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
See? Nice work. That's
when I first got in, I was maybe playing more minutes, and maybe getting a chance on a second power play, and that's where points come. But I wasn't. That wasn't my game. I just, like I said, play those 12 minutes as hard as I could, and be the best 7th defenseman that I could, and grind it out.
Well, you did 360 games played, so congratulations again on one hell of a career.
How many scratches?
They don't keep those.
I know. Well, that should be a stat that's kept.
Actually, I kind of love that. We'll start that. We'll talk to the people and see what we can do.
Yeah. I gotta hold some kind of record for most games in the press box. Hey, I started calling it the Pross Box.
I was gonna say maybe rename a booth after you in the press box.
Yeah, the Pross Box. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, Nate, again, so great catching up with you. We really appreciate you taking the time away from the kiddos there. Maybe see you dangle in some men's adult leagues, because you said you're still good to go, right? You still want to play, maybe. So maybe go find an adult league.
Yeah. I still have the love and the passion for the game. I mean, obviously not, competitively, but I mean, I've skated out at Justin Morneau's rink a few times, just at some retired guys out there. You got Leopold and Martin and Maurer and Morneau and
just Minnesota legends, right? Just that's all your legends.
No. So I mean, I still want to do that kind of stuff, and I like going to high school games. I helped coach the Wayzata captains practices, so I got to know some of the kids, and been going to a few of their games. Gone to Elk River game. The drive and the love still there. I'm hoping to, like I said, keep my foot in the door with hockey, because I still feel like I have so much to give to the game.
I love it. Well, again, thank you so much. We'll be calling you if we have a pickup game that we need an extra man for. So
let's
please be on the lookout
go
for that.
Let's go.
Let's
Be
do
ready
it.
for some slashes.
Yes, I like it. All right. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is producer Fred. I just wanted to ask everyone to go out there and spread the word about Bardown Beauties. Leave us a like, share, thumbs up, review, you name it, we want to hear from you. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, your favorite podcast app.
Because I hope Fred adds this into the podcast, but if he doesn't, Nate Prosser did say once we ended the record that we were the best podcast he's ever been on. So Fred, if you can go back, cut that, make sure it's in. If it's not, it happened. He said it's on the record.
Give us
Take
our award
that.
now that we're in the early voting for number one podcast.
We've had
of the year.
plenty that have said this before, so it's really just increasing. So yes,
it's not even self-proclaimed at this point. It was for a while, but now we're actually getting some reviews in, and the reviews are good.
Dino said we were the best. Billy G. I mean, we've got high marks from high people. So shout out to Nate. He is awesome. I think he's going to crush the girl dad coaching atmosphere. It's going to be fun to see him around the rinks because he's such a good human being. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up this episode with our very favorite up for debate. Alexis chose violence again with goalies because you know how Alexis and I love to duke it out over goalie situations. Alexis, you wanted to know who has the better tandem. Go ahead, lay it on out for folks.
Well, I got you. Lean into the bit, right? If there's anything that I could teach you young kids about content, it's lean into the bit. And Jessi and I are leaning so far into the bit, we're literally laying on top of it at this point. And the goalie tandem bit will never die. So the up for debate this week is who has been the best goalie tandem in history. And I'm not talking about including the current one in previous ones. So the options were Dwayne Rollison and Manny Fernandez back in the day, Nicholas Backstrom and Josh Harding, or Devin Dubnyk and Alex Stalock. Jessi, take your pick.
I mean, a little rude for you not to do Dubes and Kemps, right? Because
I thought about it, but Alex Stalock, as a former Butte, we got to include him in there. So
and Dubes as a former Butte,
and Doobie, yeah.
If we could get Rolly and Manny on here, that would be fantastic
at the same time
too.
Yeah.
You got to go Rolly and Manny. Success up and down. But I know where you're going to go with this because I know where your fandom lies. But Nicholas Backstrom and Josh Harding were also unparalleled. I mean, none of these are like the current goaltending tandem that we have now, except maybe Dubnyk and Stalock. But my final answer, Rolly and Manny.
So you're saying that because they have the best, like they obviously made it the furthest in the playoffs.
They're the
that's
best.
why you're picking out. Okay. Yeah. This one is hard for me because obviously I would die for Nicholas Backstrom. I would take a bullet for him. I would donate my foot to Kirill Kaprizov and I would take a bullet for Nicholas Backstrom. And that's where my fandom lies. So I love him. I cried when I met him when I was 12. I don't know. Listen, there's a photo of it somewhere. I'm sure I can find it. But anyway, so
we're going to need that evidence. But please put that into evidence for us.
I literally was so excited to meet him that I cried. And he signed my All-Star. I had an All-Star jersey of Nicholas Backstrom. I digress. I love him. But what I will say is because I loved him so much, I hated Josh Harding because I was mad that anytime Nicholas Backstrom didn't play, I was devastated. So I took that out.
Psychotic levels.
Yes, it was. I probably should have been in therapy for it, but I loved Nicholas Backstrom so much that anytime he didn't play, it was Josh Harding in net. And therefore I hated Josh Harding because he took away games from my favorite goaltender. So I still got to go with that tandem because Nicholas Backstrom is my favorite, but Josh Harding was on my shit list as a child for no other reason other than Nicholas Backstrom could not play 82 games in a season. So it was psychotic for sure. But that's that on that. I will say also, I got to give a shout out to Alex Stalock because he played the style of goaltending that I love, which was just pure chaos all the time. So shout out to him. But I'm going to rest on the hill of Nicholas Backstrom and Josh Harding.
Campbell Kakkinen taking a page out of the Stalock book as of late, just really trying to
with 10 seconds left.
I hate it.
Okay,
I absolutely hate it. It's just the worst. I can't. My anxiety cannot handle that. I will have to double my medication in order to handle any more games like that. That's it. That's good. I think most of you enjoyed the Backstrom Harding based on how we laid these out. If you liked it, you liked the Backstrom Harding. So 32 of you chose that. For
a lot of
you
people
went
liked
with me.
Rolly and Manny as well for the same reason you did, just because they were the
Yes.
winningest as far as, they got the Wild to the conference finals, the only time they've ever been there.
Yeah.
And that was, they were a solid duo, and it's pretty rare in the NHL to get a tandem that's like equally good.
You
both
can trust either of them. Right.
Right.
Exactly. Like it's
So-
like, yeah, you go play. That's the dream. That is the
Yeah.
dream. That's why they got so far.
Yeah.
Going back to the original point, Alexis, this tandem as it is, you can't trust both of them. They're not going to get to the Western Conference Finals with this tandem.
Okay, if this tandem gets them to the Western Conference Finals, what are you going to give me as a prize?
I
Remember,
will
I like
publicly say I
monetary
was wrong,
prizes.
which is a really big
I want like a
problem for me.
video apology. I want like a press conference, like apology, like a PSA. I want like a full, like I need Fred producing it.
If
like
they
I
get
need
to the
a whole
Western Conference
thing.
Finals,
Yes.
done.
Yeah, I'll get the lectern. We'll get the lights,
Yeah.
the stage.
I need like
will
a
make
podium.
yes, I'm so in on that because that will be very hard for me. I will probably cry.
You're gonna
Like,
have
I'll
to
get
do
the
like one of
tears
those
going.
like embarrassed guy presidents things when they have like an affair.
Yeah.
You're gonna have like Mike standing behind you, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm just thankful for my support behind me as we get
Yes.
through this time.
He will. It's gonna be hard. We'll
rely
go
on
all
my
out.
faith.
It's the bitch, but because it's not gonna happen, so I'm not really worried about it because it's not gonna happen.
Sure. Okay.
What if they so what if they make a trade in the goalie situation before then? What happens?
Oh, okay. I would say that it nullifies the debate. And you'd
yes.
be out.
I mean, I'd be
even
a
if
little
they
bit more
made it to
right.
the conference finals, then
Yeah,
then
because that
then
doesn't
you would.
count. 'Cause
No,
that's- yeah,
it has to
right.
be Cam Talbot and Kaapo Kähkönen have to take them to the conference finals in order for you to give me a public apology with a podium and a full broadcast.
Done.
Thank you.
I'm in. Let's do this
Okay.
because they're not going to. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Another beauty. Appreciate all of you. Shout out to Talk North for featuring us on their lovely network. Shout out to BettorEdge for making me feel bad about myself each and every week, but they are awesome. BETTREdge.com, code BUTES, $10. As you know, SotaStick.com, our presenting sponsor, always with the gear, cool swag, cool gear, lots of good stuff happening there. Code Bardown Beauties gets you 15% off all purchases. Cheers to Jim Beam. We got some cool items coming from Jim Beam in the works, so be sure to stay tuned to our social media for a contest on that. And I think thank you to all of you, right? Every time you guys continue to crush it. We love the engagement. We love all of you. You seriously are awesome. All of the continued support. And we've got more cool stuff coming up for our fans, for our engagement, including an appearance at the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. So keep an eye out for more information on that. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Love you. Goodbye.